Hi everyone, Devin here, and on the last How Did It Dry video I showed off a couple pieces that were resin finished, and a few of you, actually a lot of you, commented on how exactly do I resin such a large canvas. So I thought I would try to put this video together to show you exactly the process and the things that I have learned on how to actually resin such a large canvas. And this canvas that we're working on right now is 5 foot by 3 foot and has been dry for a couple weeks, so it's good to go. So let's talk about the material that we need to actually get this done. So first and foremost, you need your resin. The resin that I'm actually using today is art resin. I'm using this specifically for this video because it can be used without a respirator. It can be used indoors like this. It's no VOC, it's no BPA, it's actually quite a good product to use. So I'm using a gallon of art resin, not mixing up the whole gallon, but they're in gallon formats. Next you need is a measuring cup. So I like these plastic measuring cups because after you're done with your resin, you leave it to harden in here and your resin just peels right off the inside of the cup and it comes out clean again. After that, you need a stirring stick. I like these large popsicle sticks. They don't leave anything behind. They're nice and clean, great for mixing the resin. Next is toothpicks. I use toothpicks for a couple things. One is if I get contaminants, something stuck in the resin, I can use this just to pluck it out before it dries. And two is if you have a pesky air bubble, you can use the toothpick to pop the air bubble inside the resin. Next is something to spread the resin. So I like this little 3/16 V-notch trowel that I use to very carefully spread the resin around the canvas, and it allows it to flow out to about 1/8 of an inch after you were done spreading it. Next is these little pylon pyramid things that I picked up at Home Depot. This is to make sure that the canvas is off of your surface. So in this case I have a table. So if any resin does drip down the side, it's not adhering your canvas to your paper, to your table, to whatever it is. So these things are great. You can pick them up at Home Depot. I'm sure Amazon has them. I'll try to find a link and post it in the description below. Next is gloves. Resin is a very, very messy process, so gloves are absolutely critical. You do not want to get the resin on your hands. And then last on this is going to be your gas. So this is a propane torch. This one is quite powerful. You don't need to be this powerful, but it's what I use. You just got to be very careful not to burn your resin with one of these, especially the high output ones, because your resin can burn quite easily. And then next is going to just be the washing of the canvas. So here I actually just use soap and water. So on this cloth here, there's a little bit of dish soap and water. And then I have a bowl of fresh water and clean paper towels. Paper towels are also very critical because resin is very messy. So first and foremost, the first thing I'm going to need to do is level the canvas. This one has been leveled. I actually leveled the table so the canvas comes out level, and that is absolutely critical because if your canvas is not level, your resin will not settle evenly. Now, one thing you do need to be aware of with large canvases like this is there is a lot of sag in the middle. You can see this one's actually quite taut because I cut cardboard the size of the inner canvas and I put wood across on the inside to support it so that it comes out fairly straight and you don't get a huge sag. Without that, in the middle here I actually have almost a 1/2 inch of sag in the middle of this canvas. And once you add a couple pounds of resin, that will get worse. So all your resin from the sides will all run and settle in the middle and you'll get a big buildup in the middle and nothing on the sides and completely ruin your project. So it's important to back a large canvas like this, even a small canvas, making it a little more rigid so that you can keep a nice even 1/8 of an inch coat all the way around. So those are the tools that you need. So my first step here is getting it washed, getting any of the oils from your fingers off of the canvas, any of the silicone that may be in the paint, and any dust and debris that may have been on your canvas because, like I said, this has dried for about 3 weeks now, and that's how long I let them sit before I spread any resin. So let's get this canvas cleaned up, and we'll see you in a second. Okay, so the canvas has been washed and is nicely dried. Next, we're going to need to mix up some of the two-part epoxy. It's a 1-to-1 mixture based on volume of resin and hardener. And you're going to want to use a calculator or at least know how much you're going to need, because you don't want to over make it, because then you're just going to be wasting a bunch. And you don't want to be under, because by the time that you mix up another batch, your first batch is going to start to set and you're not going to get a very nice finish. So you want to make sure you calculate exactly how much you need, or estimate exactly how much you need. And so let's get mixing this resin. Okay, so we have our resin measured out, equal parts resin to hardener, and now this is a step that you can't skimp on. This is a step that is critical to this whole process, and that's that it needs to be mixed for a full 3 minutes. So here we go. So just when you think you're done mixing, mix more. Okay, so the resin has been mixed for a full 3 minutes and we're ready to pour it on the canvas. So you want to have all your tools handy so that you're able to work as quickly as possible. So I like to start in the middle, and maybe this one's oval, so I'll do a big oval pour in the middle, and then I'll spread it using the trowel to the edges, trying very hard not to have it roll over the edges of the canvas, because you actually want that surface tension of the resin to hold at the edge to keep that 1/8 of an inch thickness. So here, let's pour this out. I always like to keep a little bit extra in the bottom of the container so that I can use it for touch-ups if there is an issue somewhere on this pour, maybe a thin spot or something like that. So here, let's get this poured out. Now it's important when you're doing this not to scrape down the sides, because you may have, that's enough in there, you may have some unmixed resin on the side. So now I take my trowel and I very carefully start bringing the resin out to the corners of this canvas. Now this is a metal trowel. I would like to be able to have a plastic one, but I've been unable to find the same trowel in plastic. So I just very carefully run it over the painting. And sometimes if I get frustrated with the trowel because it's just not spreading it or getting it to where I want it to go or getting it over everything, I will just use my hands, which does work also. So I bring it as close to the edge as I can, and then I come in and I fine tune it later on. Okay, we have spread the resin as evenly as we can all over the canvas. Now it's time to get rid of the bubbles, heat up the resin, allow it to flow a little bit more, which will also close up some of these scrape marks that we have. Now this is a step you do have to be pretty careful with, because you definitely don't want to burn the resin or your canvas. So I'm just running the torch along the resin and you'll see all the bubbles pop out of the resin as I do. So that is it. The resin coat on this painting is complete. I will leave it for about 48 hours to completely cure, at which time I'll take a look and see if it needs a second coat. But based on what I see here, it probably most likely will need a second coat. I very rarely get away with a single coat on a canvas this size. So that's it for this video. If you like what we're doing here, please consider subscribing. If you like this video, if you found it informative, please hit that like button and let me know what you think in the comments down below. We'll see you on the next one.